Now let's take a quick peek and look at some of the files and folders here. Administrator, Cache, Components, Images includes Installation, which needs to be removed once we're done, Language, Libraries, Logs, Media, Modules, Plugins, Templates, Temp, and XML RPC. All of these folders should be set to 755 for the permissions. Every file that's in your Joomla setup should be set to 644. Guaranteed that if an image doesn't show up in your article, or Joomla fails either in the back end or the front end, this is one of the first places you should look to make sure that somehow these permissions haven't been changed. Sometimes when you upload files, for whatever reason, they get changed to 000 or 555, and none of that will work. So again, files 644, directories 755. Let's take a quick look at some of the critical files in the root folder of your Joomla site. Configuration.php is the file that Joomla writes to when you set up Joomla and when you change anything in global configurations. With the newest versions of Joomla, they've added some comments in here that help you figure out where everything is. But this is a file that you probably won't ever touch unless something catastrophic goes wrong. In that case, the things you'll want to look for are the database settings here, the server settings here, and the site settings here. Be careful if you ever do edit this file, and as a strong recommendation, make backups of everything before you touch anything. The index.php file is the main file that Joomla reads when it accesses your site. And again, this is all PHP. You should never, ever, ever touch this. The htaccess.txt file, which gets changed to .htaccess, is a file that gives you security settings for your site. One little addition that I always make to my htaccess file is to force my domain to always use the www. And I do it in htaccess. There are many ways you can do this, and your host may offer that when you set up your site. If it doesn't, and if this is a problem where your site is accessed from www.mysite.com or just mysite.com, which is a problem for Google, you probably ought to take care of this. Just do a Google search or grab the code as written here. Change yourdomain.com to whatever your domain name is. You don't need to do this on your local host environment. In fact, it will mess up your local host environment, but this is something I always do when I'm setting up a new site. The last one we'll look at is the robots.txt file, and this is how you control what search engines see in your site. If you don't want them looking in particular subfolders or image directories, you can disallow any folder within your site. These are the standard ones for Joomla, but you can add any other folders that you want to in this file. We've already looked at the folders briefly, but just again, administrator, cache, components, images. As you know, any image you want to access through an article needs to go in images/stories. These are the ones that come with the default out-of-the-box setup. Languages are stored in languages folder. Right now we just have English. Logs, media, modules, all modules get installed here, plugins get installed into plugins, and when you're ready, you upload your templates, and they get put in this folder. Let's take a quick peek at the database. We see that there are 36 tables installed, and again, you don't need to know this when you're using a Joomla site, but this is an intermediate level course, so we take you through some of the behind-the-scenes things. Joomla out of the box installs 36 tables. Every component that you'll install usually adds one or two tables, especially things like K2 or Community Builder. You can see what's in each of these tables just by clicking on one. Let's go to the content, because we know we have content in there. This is the layout of the table. By clicking the Browse tab, I can see some of the entries in there. And this is the HTML code for the intro text, full text for my #1 article, Welcome to Joomla. Now you can actually edit things in the background here. Unless you know what you're doing with MySQL and PHP, highly recommend you just stay out of here. But this gives you an idea as to what Joomla does in the background with your database.